but we had so much fun. All of this, as far as you can see up here, this was all farm. All of this, everything you can see right.
This is Bob Christensen. He's going to tell us about the neighborhood.
I've been here for an awful long time. And when I first came to this neighborhood, I was the only thing here. None of this that you can see here was here when I was here. One of the first things they did when they started building homes through here, it started over on 4800 West and came this way. But when they started doing that, the biggest project was right here behind us, this chapel. That was all built by volunteer help. We had a building project that the church started, and there were some family politics in that got this to be the first chapel to be constructed under that. The interesting part about that was we were sitting at home watching conference, and during conference they announced a new building project wherein they would call young men to be building missions, building chapels, and then proselyting in the evening. And while we're hearing this on general conference, we had to, when I grew up, sit in the front room and watch conference and take notes and not interrupt anything. And they announced a program wherein they would have building contractors, knew what they were doing, called as missionaries to work in the daytime building chapels and work at night proselyting. And the prophet said, even as I speak, the first of these callings will be extended to a professional contractor in Utah. And the phone rings. Nobody bothers Dad when conference is on. He picked it up and he said, "What?" And my Uncle Roy was on the other end of the phone, and he says, "Glenn," my Uncle Roy is a little slower of speech than my dad, Are you watching conference?" And Dad, "Well, I was until you interrupted me with a phone call." He said, "What?" He said, "Well, did you hear that last part?" "Which last part?" "That part about a building contractor going to South America and building chapels and temples." "Well, yeah, what?" He says, "Glenn, I'm holding the call in my hand." It was delivered right to his home, just like they said they were doing during conference. He said, "I'm holding the contract in my hand." He says, "The boys and I are going to South America and build chapels." Shortly after that, it was just a matter of about 3 months that they had been down there, I got called to the same area as a regular missionary, not as a building contractor. But my first companion was my cousin, Rob.
That's funny.
So I'm Bob, he's Rob. But he was down there with his dad to build chapels, and I was down there to preach the gospel. It was fascinating how that worked in our family. You know, my parents always wanted us to watch conference and take notes and stuff. But how often have you had the prophet talk right to you, to your family, over national TV? And this was not one of the first buildings that we built. You had to be 16 to work on this project, or the bishop's kid. Wasn't quite 16, but when this was going up, they had the pallets of wood up there, and I was taking sheets and walking them up to the top up there where they were nailing them in. And one thing about plywood, it gets slick when it gets wet. And we were up at the top up here. The steeple hadn't been built yet, and the lightning rod hadn't been built yet, but we got in a rainstorm. And I was standing on the plywood, and I just set one up there, and then I had to scoot it all up to where they were going to nail it in up there. And as I'm pushing it up, this rainstorm starts, and I started sliding with it back down here, and I thought, I hope I'm somewhere right about where that pile is up there, because I slid all the way down the roof. And as I screamed going over the edge, I wound up landing, just fell off the roof, boom, like that, standing on that pile of plywood that had to still be taken up there. I mean, no harm, no foul, didn't even damage any of the plywood. But it was real interesting to get out of a deal like that. My father was the agent bishop, which means he's, if there's more than one bishop in a building, the agent bishop is the one that's got to do the numbers with the church and anybody with the state that wants to know something, you know, that's what an agent bishop does. But physically, my father was seriously handicapped, and he never ever went up on the roof because he couldn't. But it was fascinating because they would let us go up when we were younger like that, because Dad was the agent bishop. But it was you know, it was beyond our imagination that you could get hurt working in the church. I mean, you know, somebody's going to watch out for you. So we didn't really work about it too hard, but right after we got it done, they decided to change it because of the thing, and they pitched the sides roofs. They left the center completely the way it was. That was all right. But over here they angled these so the snow and the rain comes off. All of this, as far as you can see around here, was carrots, tomatoes. You know where the big green water cans are over there?
The monster water tanks?
Yeah.
Down on the corner?
Yeah. That was part of our deal too. And we had the farm went all the way up to 4700 South there, and back this way quite a ways. But this was all carrots and tomatoes and some other things that another ward was doing, and I never got involved in that because we had enough to do with ours, you know. But we had to come over here and weed all the time. We had to irrigate all the time, and nobody knows how to do that doesn't live in a farm. Yeah. So it was a lot of learning for a whole lot of people. This right here was a steak farm. We were growing corn and carrots. But it's just what we did.
Corn and carrots all over here, huh?
And
a lot of people volunteering to help you?
We did. It worked out quite well. The best part was you have to have a welfare project, or you have to have some type of project that your state can do. We were within walking distance. The school over there was not here. That was all wheat and corn. Through down here to the canal.
Okay. It used to be what? Corn, you say?
This was, it was corn, it was wheat, but it was all taken. There,
Corn and weed at one time.
the canal right here
Oh,
goes out to, it goes
Just go
out
down the
to
canal.
all that way,
Yeah.
way that way.
that used to be a part of it.
Yeah, we used to walk to school on that way because it was shorter than waiting for the bus.
Yeah.
First, I would probably just go down the canal.
Okay.
There was absolutely nothing here. Well, there was wild wheat, grew about 3 feet high.
Dang.
And nobody was farming it at the time. And so it became usable really quickly. And then when the whole thing was in wheat and everything else, all kinds of crops here that the church was growing, then they decided to build the houses here. And that took out our entire welfare farm. And that upset Dad quite a bit because that's the way he is. Wasn't the best use of money, according to him. We need food or we need more houses. But all this was built in about 3 years. All the houses are almost identical. That makes it a lot faster when you're building entire neighborhoods.
Rather than customizing each one.
Yeah.
Put a picture of those towers over there, water towers. And I knew, didn't you say it was way down here? These big towers down here?
Yeah, the big red white towers.
So maybe we'll drive down over there.